So equations really come from the equal sign. So this equation means that you've one group of numbers is equal to another group of numbers or another number. So what do we mean by that? And we've kind of come across this already. So if we say something like this, x plus 3 is equal to 10, then this is what's known as an equation. Why is it an equation? Because you have this equal sign here. And really the way to kind of think about an equation is you can think about it like a balance. Okay, so imagine you have a balance. So whatever's on one side, okay, is equal to whatever's on the other side. So the sides, if you like, they balance each other out. If I take something off this side, then I have to take the same amount of the opposite side for this balance to remain. And that's what we mean by that. And because of this, because one side is equal to another, what we can do is we can work out an unknown value on one side of the equation. Like, for example, in this case, x. So what we can do is we can actually, through a method of deduction, we can work out, for example, what the value of x is. Now, when we look at something like that, it's easy to see, well, what x is. So I can say 7 plus 3 is equal to 10, so therefore x has to be 7. But there is in maths, it's very important that you follow a process in order to figure out what x is. So in order to figure out what x is, what I have to do is, we can think about this like two sides of a balance. So we have x plus 3 on this side of the balance, and then we have 10 on this side of the balance. And like this, the balance is balanced. So I want to figure out what x is. So in order to figure out what x is, I have to get rid of all the numbers around x and just leave x on its own. So in order to get rid of plus 3 on this side, I have to minus 3. Now if I subtract 3 from the left hand side, and if I don't subtract 3 from the right hand side, it's going to become unbalanced, and it'll be incorrect to say that x is equal to 10. So in order to keep that balance, I have to, if I take away 3 from the left hand side, I have to take away 3 from the right hand side as well, like this. So what that will leave us with then is x is equal, so plus 3 minus 3 will just cancel out, leaves you with nothing. So you're left with x is equal to 10 minus 3, which is equal to 7. So this is what we mean by an equation. Now again, I don't have to use the letter x. I can use any symbol. Like I could put in, for example, box plus 3 is equal to 10. And again, I can go through the same process and find out that box is equal to 10. It does not matter what the symbol is. So this is just like a placeholder. It can be any type of symbol could be put in there. So if we look at a couple of examples, so if we have something like this, so let's say if we had something like this, so 72 divided by box is equal to, let's say, 9. So I want you to pause the video and think about how would you solve this? How would you go about solving it? Okay, so if we look at this, what does this mean? Well, it means 72 over box is equal to 9. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this box on its own, and then we're trying to solve for and get rid of all the numbers around it, okay? So in order to get rid of this box, let's say from this side, what I can do is I can multiply this fraction by box, like so. And again, remember, if I multiply this side because this is division, I do the opposite, which is multiplication. So if I multiply this side by box, then I have to multiply this side by box as well. Okay, like so. And what that will enable us to do is it'll enable us to cancel these two out. So what we can say then is that 72 is equal to 9 box. Okay, like that. And then what we can do then is we can start to get rid of the numbers around it and then solve for whatever the box is. So in this case, what we can say then is that, so this is 9 multiplied by the value that's represented by box. So in order to get rid of this 9 on this side, I have to do the opposite of multiplication. I have to divide this by 9. And if I divide this side by 9, I have to divide this side by 9 as well. So these will cancel out, and we'll be left with box is equal to 72 divided by 9, which is equal to 72. So let's cancel this out. So 72 divided by 9. So 72 divided by 9, which is equal to 8. Okay, so it's equal to 8. So if I was to take this original, so this box here is represented by the number 8, and if I was to substitute this back in here, we can say 72 divided by 8 is equal to 9. Similarly, if we had a question something like this, let's say, let me just change the color. So if we had something like this, so 4 plus 4 plus 4 over box is equal to 9, and you're asked to solve and work out what this value in the box is represented by. So let me just get rid of all this here. Get rid of this here, and we will work through this example. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to simplify all of this. So 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. So we're saying that 8 plus 4 over the value represented by the box is equal to 9. Now what we want to do is we want to get rid of all the numbers around this and just find out what the box is on its own. Okay, so we have this 8 plus 4 over box is equal to 9, so we have to get rid of this 8 here. So I can minus 8 from here and minus 8 from here. So these will cancel out, and I'll be left with 4 over box is equal to 1. Now what I want to do is I'm trying to get the box on its own. So in order to get rid of this from this side, I have to multiply this side by box, and if I multiply this side by box, I have to also multiply this side by box as well. So these two will cancel out, and I'll be left with 4 is equal to box. Okay, and again, if we were to take this value, so the box represents the value 4, and we're to substitute it into this equation here, it will be equal to 9. So 4 plus 4 is equal to 8, plus 4 over 4 is 1, plus 8 plus 1 is equal to 9. So a similar kind of concept here as well. So again, we have this balance here, and we have these shapes on either side. And we can see at the moment that it's balanced. Okay, so it's not leaning, it's not heavy on one side. So what I'm asking you to do is have a look at this, and I want you to find out what the value of this square is here. Okay, so find the value for the square if each of these circles is equal to 5. So just pause the video, have a look at this, and give it a go. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So what we can say then is that if we were just to write out what's going on here, we can see that, so this side here is equal to 3 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 15. Okay, this side here has 2 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 10. Okay, so these two circles here represent 10. So what we can say, we can write an equation to represent this so we can solve and figure out what the box is. Okay, so box plus 10 is equal to 15. Okay, so we're saying that this value here, which is unknown, which is what we're trying to work out, plus these two values here, which add up to 10, is equal to these three values here, which add up to 15. So now we can easily figure out what this box value is by, we can just use what we've done in algebra. So for example, this is going, if I minus 10 from here and minus 10 from here, so these two will cancel out, and box then will be equal to 5. So we can say that, and this makes sense then as well. So if we've 10 plus the value of 5, which is this is equal to 5, this side is 15, and then this side is 15 as well. So that's just an introduction to like what we mean by like what an equation is. So these here are all examples of equations.